Welcome to Music Talks, the podcast where we talk with composers, singer-songwriters, musicians, and music lovers about the uniqueness and universality of our experiences with music. I'm your host, Dante Luna, and I'm joined today by the thrash metal band Diabology. They're a four-piece band from Los Angeles, featuring Jesse Bergen on guitar and lead vocals, Jack Kleiman on guitar, Joseph Matsiuk on bass, and Matthew Morales on drums. They formed over their love of metal and desire to make music together, and they've had many well-attended gigs and just released their first album, Nobody Believes Me, which you can find anywhere you listen to music. Diabology, thanks for being here, you guys.
Hey, what's up? Thank you for having us.
You guys have influenced me so much just over the last, I've only been really listening to your music for about a week now, but I've known about you guys for a while because of my brother who knows Jack. I'm just amazed at just the genre you guys play. I want to talk to you guys about that. And then just how you guys have formed as a group, because you guys seem so developed for such a young band. And I mean young literally, like you guys are just young people. So that's super exciting to me, and I'm thoroughly impressed with your guys' work.
Thank you.
So yeah, like when did you guys form as a group? How'd you guys meet each other?
Well, I formed the band with entirely different members back in the summer of 2016, and it was my first real metal band where I was writing original music. And we rehearsed together. I met the original members through rock schools, because ever since I was 7, I had been attending School of Rock programs, and that was a lot of fun. And it got me my start in music. But after a certain point, just playing covers there got old. So me and some of the other kids in the school decided to band together and start making original music. And after a few months, we started playing live gigs, and we've gone through a bunch of lineup changes since then. I've met these guys at I met them at different Diabology shows when we had old members, most of them. Yeah. But yeah, we've just come together over over metal, and the rest is history.
That's so cool. So you guys go have you guys all been to School of Rock or rock schools?
I have not.
That's not how I met them, no.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gone to one either.
Okay, yeah. So when did you guys start playing music in general, or what got you guys interested in music in the first place, but also metal? I don't know, maybe Joseph, why don't you?
7 years ago, when I was 10, my sister took a piano lesson, and my mom really wanted me to take it with her, but I was refusing to learn piano. I don't know why, but I really wanted to learn the violin for some reason. But my mom didn't let me till I learned piano, but I was refusing to do it. So she made me watch my sister's piano lesson, and at the end, I decided to learn. My sister quit after a few months, but I actually got pretty good. And then a few years later, some of my friends decided to start a band that went through a bunch of different names and never really went anywhere. But they already had a keyboardist, and they made me play bass, and I had no idea what to do, so I kind of faked it until I actually learned how to play. I got into metal when I started trying to look for more difficult songs to play on bass, and I found Metallica and Cliff Burton, and I started trying to learn a bunch of Cliff Burton's bass lines. And from there, I got really into metal.
That's super cool. I feel like that's how it works for a lot of people. I was playing piano in middle school, or I auditioned for the jazz middle school jazz band. And I got in, but there was 4 pianists and they only needed 3. There was a vibraphone, one of those instruments, sitting in the corner, and they're just well, there's that, it's kind of like piano. And I was just I guess I'll try it, but now the rest is history. I'm a percussionist mainly now. But that's super cool. Jack, when did you start playing guitar, and how did you get into metal?
Yeah, for me it was actually kind of similar. I started playing guitar in middle school. I don't really have a reason why. I just was really interested in the instrument. I didn't listen to that much music back then or anything like that. I played trumpet at school, but that was like pretty different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Violin and trumpet are like the least metal instruments. I mean, maybe violin can be kind of metal if you have electric violin.
I mean, Male Scaris is a death metal band that has a violin player.
Ah, that I wouldn't doubt it coming from over there.
But yeah, so I just started playing guitar, and at first I was just playing like whatever popular songs that people learn on guitar at the beginning. And I really just learned metal because I wanted to learn more music, and I got really into it and liked the genre a lot and liked the way to play it. So
yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. We'll definitely get into more about the characteristics of metal because I'm interested to hear from you guys about it. But like Matthew, what about you on drums? You're shredding all over I mean, all of you guys are just like killing it on the album. It just blows my mind, literally. But Matthew, when did you get your start?
Well, I started, I would say, 4 or 5 years old. Like, I would annoy my grandma, take out her pots and pans, and just start bang on it. And then my parents decided to give me like a little toy drum set. And then from there, I really wanted to learn drums. So my parents put me in the School of Rock. But yeah, I recently stopped going to School of Rock, I would say since 2015-ish. And me personally, I didn't really listen to that much metal back then, believe it or not. I was a big Michael Jackson fan.
Not too shabby.
But my dad was into metal, and I remember he would play Slipknot in his car, and I was like, holy shit, I really like this. And then from there, I just got on metal and never gave it up.
Every time you mention that, I imagine you just doing blast beats on your like Fisher Price drum set.
Oh, believe it or not, I don't know. For sure, I have done that. I don't remember at all.
Yeah, that's we all have stories like that, and it's crazy how we all find our way to each other. And and it's funny how like there's different lineups of bands too. I've been in some bands that can't keep the same personnel for more than like a month. But it's a fun thing to do. But you guys have got a close knit group, it seems.
there's definitely a certain point where we have like a new bassist every month.
Yeah, no, we have had a lot of problems in the past, but we do seem to have a good group right now. So
I mean, I was the last member to join, and it's been almost a year now.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's like a what do you call it? Like when people get married, the honeymoon phase. But I think you're past that now.
Yeah.
So I'm interested about like metal in general. Like what I noticed just from listening to your album. First of all, it's just it seems to be like a well-constructed album. Like there's like a lot of integrity, a lot of thought put into it. I'm just amazed by that. And I want to talk about that. But like just taking a step back from that, like you guys have like you call it like thrash metal, and that if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of like an 80s derived thing, or it's like it comes from like an underground scene, but then it has kind of become more mainstream in the 2000s or something like that. Is that right? Or like, where does that name come from?
Yeah, well, honestly, like we use thrash kind of because we feel like it's like the closest thing, but we don't really try to like stick it with any like one subgenre of metal really. We incorporate elements of like, black metal and death metal and doom metal.
Some prog. Yeah,
like all this stuff. Thrash is kind of, I think, the closest to what we have because has that same sort of like aggressive, like fast-paced sort of attitude.
That really is like the reason we use the word thrash is because of the speed aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not like you said, it is kind of like a term from the 80s, and I would say it doesn't like perfectly like pin down what we do.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I definitely noticed there was a lot of different styles in there. And that's kind of the theme of this podcast is that like every person I've had on this show, their music is like, fits into one category or genre, you can say, at least for marketing purposes. But like their music is not actually just that. It is so many other things. And I think metal itself as a genre, like, I don't know, it probably comes from like blues or like rock or something. I don't know. But
Oh
like,
yeah.
but it also has so many other things. Like as a classical musician, I hear a lot of like classical idioms that are really simple, like, arpeggios or just like certain scales, harmonies, they don't belong to classical music, or they don't belong to any kind of music, but they just are kind of a shared idiom among other genres. So I'm
I think
curious, like, where you like, where do you think metal is as like a scene, like in this day and age? Like there's probably mainstream and like a more underground scene, but like where do you see it right now?
I
Uh,
see it like. Are you gonna say
go
something?
ahead. Go ahead.
I see it kind of in between like mainstream and underground because there's a lot of like bands that are still hitting mainstream in metal while there's also other bands that are getting underground success. So it's somewhere in between there.
I think of it much more as an underground genre. I think like even the popular metal bands are still comparatively underground to like other genres. I think it's like a niche genre a little bit, but I think it is. Feel like it's been growing in recent years, just like kind of a revival a little bit.
It,
I
I,
just noticed that as well.
I feel like metal is like such an encompassing thing. I mean, like you said, there's so many like different styles that have gone into it, and different subgenres of it. That I think it's kind of hard. Like everyone is bound to like at least like some kind of metal, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I wouldn't say that metal is like really like I wouldn't call it mainstream really, but I mean I'm not sure I would entirely say like, oh, it's underground, it's like
yeah, it's like more in between, like what Joe said. Like
Mhm.
it depends, like what band we're talking about too. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, like that's uh, just like a special thing I see, particularly in this century, like with not just music, but like everything, like just like political theories, society, culture, just like everything is combining elements of the past, and fusing new categories, new genres, new styles. And that's something I see in you guys. I see in a lot of people's music, and it's exciting to kind of document that lineage. Um, but like, for example, like Judgment Day, like the guitar licks in that song are not Judgment Day. Seed of the Prophet. Like there's so many like uh moments where there's like arpeggios or just like some musical moments where you just hear the music playing, and that's something you don't hear necessarily in mainstream music. It's all about like the lyrics are just getting to the chorus as soon as possible. um
Mhm.
so like what is your guys' approach in writing songs?
well, we always start with like the instruments. All our songs start with like guitar licks or bass lifts. Bass licks. Joseph has been contributing to, but we always start with that and try to like we bring it to the band, and usually everyone like kind of changes it. Usually the song isn't the same by the time it goes through the whole band as it was when we like first brought it in, but everyone adds their stuff, and lyrics are always like the last to come for us, just because I mean like you said, I feel like in like metal and stuff, the instrumentation is like very important, and it's harder to like write lyrics and then be like, oh, I'm gonna write a riff to this, than to just like write a riff that sounds good and then be like and then put words to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, th- that's something that I think is kind of special. Or I feel like there's like mainly just two approaches. There's like either the music inspires the rest of the song, or the lyrics inspire the rest of the song. And I think that comes from like two different camps. There's the singer songwriter camp, which is like the lyrics kind of, and maybe like some chord changes, but like and then musicians who come from the music, and then play the rest of it. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I think we like try to write interesting songs musically first, and then we worry about where the choruses are and the verses are later. And so that I think that might be what you're hearing.
And yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, a lot of the time we do let the music like influence the lyrics. I'll listen to the song and be like, oh, this one sounds really angry. It should be about, like murder and violence or whatever. And then other ones I'll be like, oh, this is kind of ethereal. Maybe it should be something more like mystic or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the factor in it too.
How long does it take to like see the fruition of a song? Like, like what is the lifespan from start to finish usually on average?
Well, I think usually one of us will bring in like a mostly finished song already. And then that's like what Jesse was talking about, how like, it goes through the different members, because we'll just make little changes as time goes on. Like we'll play it live, and then we'll see what they think of it, if they like that song, and if there's things we can change about that. So it's probably a long lifespan, but it's already mostly done from the start. So it's like small changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is like hard to say kind of, because they're, sometimes like I'll write a single riff and then have it for like a month, and then, like suddenly I'll come up with the rest of it, and then, the band could get it in like 2 weeks or something. Or, it could be like something I bring in and we all work on, and then, we take it out and we realize like, oh wait, hang on, the crowd is getting bored because the solo is too long, so we should probably shorten this and whatever. So it really like it varies depending on the song and just how what we have to do to it.
So were you guys like playing these songs a lot before you guys released the album?
Yeah, we
like years for some of them.
Yeah, we have had we had a lot of practice before we went into the studio, and we still had to record the whole album twice. So
yeah, 2 times.
Like 3 times, I think, right?
No,
like we did like one session, and then you like one.
Well, we did like demos for like more than half the songs, and then we tried to record the album. Yeah.
It was to me it was worth it, because you got a good product there. And I saw a review that was like saying something like, they were good, but there's like some things, blah blah blah. And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, crazy person? You're just jealous.
We feel that way a lot too. We're like, we don't want to say that they don't know what they're talking about, but they clearly don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm with you there, because I was just
I think like some reviewers just like expect us to be inexperienced because we're young, and then they just like frame their views based off that, and they're like listening to the whole thing, thinking like, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing.
Or probably they just could be elitist and be like, you know what, no.
And I think some people, even like aside from the age thing, just have like different expectations. Like a thing I saw a lot was people who were like, oh, like the songs are like too varied, but like that was a goal for us. Like we wanted every song to sound different, we wanted to keep changing keys and tempos and make sure every song had its own identity.
Yeah, because if we
It's boring listening to the same thing.
The same, most people would get bored of it.
Yeah.
Like oh,
right.
all their songs sound the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, okay, like definitely the songs sound different from song to song, but it still sounds like the same band, and it's like the same album. It's like meant to be that way. Like each song leads into the next one. Like from Diabology to About You, I thought was a really good pairing, because it's like the longest song against the shortest song.
Yeah, that was the intention, like, kind of give people like a really like punk break after like the sort of epic, I guess, of the album.
Yeah, and so like, how much thought did you guys, I mean, I'm sure there's an obvious answer, but like, what did you guys think about when you guys were ordering the songs like that?
I mean, we had like a lot of debate, but I mean, you just have to think about like just the like last couple of bars of one song and the first few bars of the other, and just think like, is this going to be jarring? Like, is this a key shift? Like, is it? And like I said, you want to have like some juxtaposition too. You don't want two songs that are like too like samey.
I think there's a little more to it than that. Also, at least that I was thinking about. Like, definitely, I wanted to space out songs that were in the same key, so that you wouldn't get like fatigued from listening to the same note over and over again for so long. Like you said about song lengths, we definitely thought about that, and also about the mood that certain tracks give and where we wanted those moods in the album. But there was a lot of debate on what the first song was going to be and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the first song kind of just like takes you in. It's like the curtains are opening. It's just like, here we are. We're gonna tear shit up. And like I just love the last song too. I think the silent is a great way to end the song or the album, because like, you know, it's almost like in two halves, that song. There's like the first part of the song, which is like more fast paced, and then like the second half, which is like it just like it like, you know, it's about to be the end, but it's epic and it's big and it's just like, oh,
Thank
it
you.
feels so good.
That was actually the only song that we knew, like right from the start, like this is gonna be the closing track. Like that was the only one we were sure about.
We also play that song last.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, were you gonna say something, Joseph?
The thing that Jack said.
Yeah. That it makes total sense that that's last. Anyone that's saying that, any criticism of just the music layout or anything like that, I don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about.
I mean, if that's what they want, it's what they want. But I mean, I think they just, you know, clearly this isn't the album for them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, another question I had is in was it Last Viking or Lost Viking? Lost
Yeah.
Viking. Like the vocals get so high in there. I was like, how do you do that with your voice?
Well, it's not great for my throat. That was like one of the like earlier like Diabology songs, and I used to sing it like an octave lower, but I felt like it just didn't have like enough like power, I guess. So I raised it up, and it kind of shreds my voice a little, but it's just in those two verses. So it's like as long as we're not like rehearsing it like over and over again, like I can manage. But yeah, I would not recommend.
Mm-hmm. Did you have to like? I know there's been some rock and even some metal singers that have been trained like by like classical coaches or whatever, or like, you know, vocal coaches. Like, do you have anything like that you've been relying on?
Well, like I said, I went to School of Rock for a while, and I got a few years of vocal lessons there. And then I went to another music school, the Paramount Academy, and when they first opened, they had a teacher who specialized in like screaming, like metal, like gutturals and stuff. No, it was not. Her name was Mary Zimmer. Shout out to her. But she was great, and she showed me the stuff. But after just like 2 months or so, she got offered like an opportunity to like go on tour with a band, and she left. So I kind of just got like the very basics, and like ever since then I've kind of worked on the metal screaming just from like YouTube videos and just practicing, you know, just taking other songs, other screamers I like, and trying to replicate it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe people who are not musicians or not fans of metal don't understand the skill and the technique that's required to play metal. Like, is that something that attracted you guys to the genre? Because like to me, like when I'm listening to it, I'm just like, holy smokes, like this is like real music. It's not just like 4 chord songs or just like strumming. You're working.
Thank you. Well, it's kind of funny because when Diabology started, like we were always a metal band, but we were way more punk, and you can tell like some of the earlier songs are on the album, like The Voices and Deicide, and you can tell back then that we did have like a simpler approach. But I mean, it like going back to song variety, it's just like when you only have that sort of like limited like simple punk category, like there's only so many places you can go. And I think eventually we just naturally were like, you know, well, let's write something better. Let's write something crazier. And we just, you know, kind of branched out and got more complex. That's at least how it was for me. I don't know about.
For me, I would say that the like complex and difficultness of playing is part of what attracted me to metal. Like I said, I was playing guitar for a couple of years already, and I wanted to play something that was harder. Obviously, there's a lot of different directions you can go with that, but I was listening to metal, and I'd hear a guitar player play something cool, and I would be like, how did they play that? Like I couldn't even imagine how they played it, and I had to learn how to, and that motivated me to explore the like possibilities of metal guitar.
That's so cool. And so does that mean like you learned a lot from YouTube? Is that what you're saying? Like
Mostly from like listening to records. That's it.
records. Wow. That's amazing. Matthew, I wanted to just recognize your double kick action. That is some badass work you got going on there. Like in Seeds of Eternity, that is just like a crazy. I was just like, what is going on? I'm gonna explode.
Thank you. But, no, it took me a while to get to that pace. Before, like, I troubled to get to that pace, and I would always like beat myself over it. I would be like, how come you can't fucking get this? Like, I would watch like other drummers do it. Also, when it comes to blast beats too, I'm like, how the fuck can they play blast beats like for 6 minutes, or how can they play this like very fast pattern on a double pedal like for 6 or 5 minutes? I'm like, but now I could, I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to say the least, you're definitely getting there.
That blows me away all the time. I come in with like riffs, and like if I was the drummer and someone came in with like the riffs I do, I'd be like, the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Like what? But he just plays like the craziest stuff, and it blows my mind.
A lot of the time when I come in with a new riff to show the band, when Matt plays a drum beat, I have like a drum beat in my head for what I think Matt should play. Then Matt plays something that's a lot better than what I think Matt should play.
Ditto.
That's so cool. I love that it seems to be like a very collaborative work there.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's one way that's better than the other when it comes to like a band. Like some just work differently. And you guys seem to have like a pretty like democratic work environment.
Yeah. For me, like, I don't have the confidence to write a whole song myself. I get it like most of the way there, but then I'm like, does this suck? What should I do next? And I don't know, bringing it in, I feel like it helps add variety, and it helps me know that it's a good song.
Yeah, and there's some groups, some artists that like one person is like the main generator of ideas, and that works for them. And so it's just I'm always interested about how it works on the inside, because it's an interesting thing. But I also had a question about like lyrics. Like I don't want to say like everything is like, I don't want to put a blanket onto what the general vibe of all the lyrics are about, but like there's some like satanic vibes, but also just like angsty vibes, and I think that's like a common I don't want to say stereotype, but it's like it's a common theme in metal. But like what, like maybe what are some of the things that people might not know about the lyrics?
Yeah, I mean, all the lyrics are like inspired by like fantasy stuff in one way or another. Sometimes it's like a idea from a book I read. Sometimes it's just like straight up about like a game I played or something. And sometimes it's like my fantasy is like wanting to murder people. Doesn't sound great. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of escapism. Like, I don't know. I don't want to write about like politics or stuff. Like, I don't want to be thinking about that when I'm on stage. When I'm on stage with the band, I want to just be having a good time and singing about shit I like. So that's what it is.
You better hope that never gets taken out of context.
Yeah.
Well, I think art in general is like, I don't know. I had this discussion a lot because I'm at UCLA right now in grad school, studying composition, and one of the things that comes up is like, is art inherently political? Like that question came up And I was just like, no, it's not. But then some people were just like, yes, it is. And I'm just like, I did not understand. I mean, I can see maybe how it can be contextualized in history, considering what's going on in history, and maybe it can explain where it's coming from, but it's not inherently, about politics. But, it's interesting to hear you guys say that, because like it gives me a fantasy to think about as I'm listening to it. And I already do experience that when I'm listening to your album, Nobody Believes Me. It feels like I'm in just another place, and I'm gonna let it all out. Like, and just like listening to like some of the songs, I just want to like mosh. I really want to get out there and just run. I've been running to the album. Because it just makes me move, which is super cool. So, I mean, any other thoughts about that?
I've never written a song and in my head thought about politics. Most of the time, like when I'm writing a song, I'm thinking more about what kind of energy I want to put into the song. Is it like a high energy, heavy song? Is it like a slow song? Or a lot of the time I'll also like on my own write songs that sound more like progressive rock, like Pink Floyd, for example. I more think of the energy of the song rather than what like the song is going to be about. I never think about like politics while writing a song.
I just feel like we get enough of that anyway these days.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's exactly it. It's like when I'm on stage, that's like, it's important. It's something you do have to talk about, but I don't want to when we're, out playing music together.
Yeah, and I mean, I respect people that do political art. I feel like its own genre almost, but all art has its place, and it has a place to be. Definitely these days, like that's something I believe, is that like every kind of art, no matter what genre, what style, it might not be as successful as like Ed Sheeran, but it's like it has a place, and people are gonna want it somewhere. If you want it, someone else will.
I think there's also something to be said about like in like in the emergence of like death metal, people would just make songs that were almost like just mindless violence to just match the tone of the music. Like a lot of bands are criticized for just making songs that are just about killing, dismembering people, and I think like that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's fun to talk about sometimes and think about. And
like a big example, like Cannibal Corpse, for an example.
There's a place for it, I think.
Yeah, I think some like Diabology lyrics are more thoughtful than that, but I think there's also an aspect of continuing that history and just matching the violent tone of the music to the lyrics.
It's better to take out your energy and of like wanting to do violent things in song form than to actually do it. So in a way, it's probably better that people are writing about this, because I'm not saying everyone who writes like more brutal songs with brutal lyrics are like psychopaths, but if one person is a psychopath and takes it out on that instead of actual people, then doesn't that make it a good thing that they're writing songs that are more brutal like this? As well as maybe some fans might take it out by moshing like that instead of actually killing people.
Right.
Yeah. I was hanging out with like one of my friends the other day, and he had like another one of his friends over, and the kid kept just like screaming, just like randomly, just like when he got excited, I guess. And I was like really annoyed at first, but then I was like, I wonder if I'd be like that if I wasn't in a metal band. Like maybe he should join a metal band. Maybe it'll help him out.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you think some metal artists are like trolling, or just like kind of like pushing, maybe like society's buttons, being like, we're gonna like scream out all these like crazy things, but like we're really just making music and we're just having fun?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think anyone like, writes lyrics about like violent dismemberment and then is like, what? You think this is weird, huh? Like, I think everyone knows, like, that it is like, kind of fringe, like, interest, I guess. But, like we said, it does have its place, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I actually got introduced to metal. I mean, like I've known about metal my whole life, basically. But it took me until I was in like my second year of college. Uh, I had a roommate who is also a classical musician and a percussionist, and so you know we bonded over that. We know a lot about classical music and jazz. But every now and then, I would just hear like metal, like really intense metal, and it was like I don't know what it's called, but it was like symphonic. There was like it almost sounded like orchestral, and it was just like really big coming out of his room. Like I was just like, what are you listening to? And then he just took me on a drive, and we just like listened to a whole album, and I wish I could remember what it was. But all I remember is that it was like orchestral. There was like literally an orchestra in it. And that just amazed me, and I was just fascinated by like how intricate intricate in a good way. Like it just like kept me captivated the whole time. So I want to debunk any mysteries about metal. I mean, it's been done like billions of times now, but
Yeah.
oops. But that's kind of my take on it. It's a fun thing. I'm gonna be at your next show whenever that is.
Okay. Hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah, speaking of, I mean, quarantine seems to be going on longer than anyone might have thought.
Yeah.
I usually make all my income on gigs, which that's not happening now. So I've been just, you know, doing other things, teaching and composing, doing things like that I do elsewhere. But what are you guys thinking about doing during this time where kind of in captivity and have to be home? Like, how are you guys gonna keep doing what you're doing, basically?
I mean, we have been just, like continuing to, obviously like studios aren't open. So we've been rehearsing here in my living room. And like Joseph's parents have been a little extra cautious about the lockdown, but once a week we go on Instagram Live and pull them up over Zoom, and then we all like, play together for like, 30 minutes or whatever. So that we still just have like, some kind of like gigs to work towards, I guess. And other than that, we're just like writing and, doing things like this when we can, like Zoom interviews, Zoom performances, whatever. And we've also even been trying to like set up a like mini studio sort of in my apartment here to hopefully like get demos or, something. But yeah, I mean, we're just looking for ways to keep being creative and, keep getting out to people when we can't actually get out.
Right. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird time, but I like seeing you guys' Instagram, which by the way, it's just Diabology Band, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Diabology Band. Follow them on Instagram. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's such a good idea just to get your rehearsals in there because they're just like free performances.
That's basically what it is. We don't like worry too much about like, getting things like we played some songs that we knew we weren't even like really ready to play in front of people, but we're like, it's basically a rehearsal. There'll be like maybe a dozen people at most on the live stream. If they're really that upset, they can just tune out. So it's it's nice to have like a low pressure kind of environment.
Totally.
I think that I know our songs better than I ever have right now, because the moment we start playing, all the sound cuts out. So I have to basically play completely blind, and I have to like keep count in my head and everything, and know exactly which part changes to where. And so because of that, I know our songs better than I ever have.
That sounds absolutely terrifying.
First.
So I mean, well, thinking about life before quarantine, like what was maybe like the craziest experience you've had at one of your gigs, like just in a live gig with people there? Remember that?
Yeah. Wow, it's been so long.
I'd say the smell was like the best.
Well,
Like the most intense.
Yeah, one of our last shows before quarantine was at The Smell out here in LA, which is a great venue.
Love that place.
Yeah, support them. They're awesome. They support local music. But yeah, that was like one of our largest crowds. What's really crazy actually is this was before any of the rest of the guys were here. But when Diabology just had first started playing gigs, we'd literally played out like twice. We got into this program that was being hosted by the House of Blues. And it was this like music program where they basically gave you a bunch of like industry tips and whatever. Most of it was like either obvious or like just like pop star BS. But at the end of it, you got to perform at the Wiltern here in LA. And it was just like a 15-minute set. But still, it was like our third show ever. And we got to play the Wiltern. And, you know, they had like this nice sound system. And we pulled, it was like an amazing gig considering like how, you know, inexperienced we were back then. Inexperienced.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. That sounds amazing. The Wiltern. I love the Wiltern.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And there were a bunch of people in there who like clearly didn't really know what was going on, but they were asking for our autographs just because they assumed like, oh, they're at the Wiltern, they must be famous. So we gave a bunch of random people autographs and stuff. It was just really like kind of surreal.
That's right. Got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
Like, that's right. I'll give you an autograph. So, but like as you're playing, like, you know, you're talking about how the lyrics are about things that you want to talk about or think about, and, you know, maybe fantasies, dreams, books you read. Like, what do you, and this can be for all of you, like, what do you guys feel when you're up there and you're just like shredding and you know the tunes and you're just like in the moment? Like, what does it feel like to play this style of music you guys play?
I mean, it's a hard feeling to describe.
I mean, like, or let me kind of narrow it down, because it's like I'm like where I come from. Like most of my concerts have been in like orchestral music, which is very like tight. You know, everything has to happen the way it should happen. You know, there's not a lot of room for error, and so that means it's like very high focus, but also, you know, I enjoy it, and it's like, you know, there's some exhilaration there. I don't even know if that's a word, exhilaration. It's exhilarating. But it's orchestral music, you know, it's not that hardcore. It does have its moments, but, you know, I'm a percussionist and I always play in the big moments. And, you know, maybe some little special effect kinds of parts, but it's always mostly like hyper focused and not a lot of relaxing usually. I don't know how it is for you guys.
I think since playing the music we play is pretty technically demanding, it does require a lot of like focus just to make sure my hands are doing the right thing and I'm playing it all correctly. I don't think we like sweat mistakes too much, but I don't think we make too many.
Yeah, I don't know. For me personally, I'm usually more concerned with like making sure that I'm being like energetic and like moving and keeping the crowd entertained than I am like really nailing every note, because I know like, you know, it's like loud and, you know, distorted, and like people don't like, you know, at least most people I'm guessing don't like know the songs by heart or whatever. So I try not to sweat the notes too much, but like, I know it's like, it's hard to describe because like half of me when I'm on stage is like, oh yeah, I'm invincible. Like, you know, this is great. Like I could punch any of you in the face and it would just be part of the show. But then part of me at the same time is like, oh God, did they notice that I flubbed the note? Do they like the song? What am I going to say between songs? It's like really weird being like high strung, but at the same time, like kind of like, I don't know, having fun.
Yeah.
The thing that I love about playing shows is, since I have ADHD, I normally have a lot of built up energy and I fidget a lot. And if I'm on stage and I have already most of the time a ton of energy, I can release that energy and I don't look weird while doing it.
Ah, yes. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, totally. Matt, did you have something?
Yeah. Me, I just focus on like not trying to mess up, or like there's been few times where I would speed up or I'll like slow down. I'll be like, shit, what am I doing? And it's like sometimes when if it's like big events, there's like a lot of pressure on you. So like for me personally, it's like not trying to fuck up. Even though sometimes like there has been a few moments where like I know what I'm playing, but there's like this one time where I blanked out like for a whole song. And so like the last few measures of the song, I was like, what did I just play?
When was that?
I think it was for one of the Battle of the Bands with Vulgar Productions.
I don't remember you ever like massively like messing up a song or anything.
I recorded it. My dad was recording, and it actually came out perfectly. You couldn't even tell. You couldn't even tell I blanked out.
Wow.
Like I was surprised.
What song was it?
I think it was. It was either Lost Viking or Deicide. Either one of those.
Oh,
Yeah, those are like some of the easier ones, at least.
Yeah.
It's good.
I feel like, I mean, I've played a couple gigs as a drummer, and I've kind of decided like I'm not gonna do this anymore because it's just too much pressure. As a drummer, like everyone, every part I think is pretty much equally as important. Although I feel like it's really obvious when the drummer cuts out or something, and so especially as something as high energy as like metal or even just rock in general, gotta have solid. I mean, just in general, everyone's got to be really solid. So it's amazing to me. It seems like there's a pretty good balance among you guys, like of just like pre work and then also, or practicing and then also just having fun.
Yeah, we definitely try to balance that.
yeah.
That's great. So, I mean, hey, so like, what's next for you guys? I mean, like, I know we're in quarantine now, and you guys are doing these Instagram things. Like, are you guys working on some new stuff, or have any like online shows coming up?
I mean, like we said before, every Saturday at like 4, we stream on our Instagram. So that's pretty much all we have in terms of shows right now. And yeah, we've been, writing more music. We would like to, get out and kind of test it with a real live audience before we like go and record and stuff. But, we are working on new material, and I would say like hopefully by like next year we'll be at least like ready to start recording a new album.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time writing new material. We've been preparing it, but no one's really seen it yet.
Exciting. Well, I'm super excited to be just following you guys and to be there in the pit next time you guys are playing, because I wouldn't want to miss it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, we've basically reached, I think, the end of our interview here. Damn, I just want to keep talking to you guys. You guys are super dynamic and cool and interesting.
We'd love to come back on sometime, next season.
Yeah, seriously. And did I miss anything about what you guys are doing? Like, I think I got everything. There's a new album, Nobody Believes Me, out everywhere, right?
Yep, all the streaming platforms, and you can download it on Bandcamp and all that good stuff.
Completely free.
Yep.
That's amazing.
We also have CDs.
CDs. Yeah, you guys have other merch or anything?
Yeah, buy our merch, stream our album, follow our social media.
We have shirts too.
You got shirts?
Yeah, and what was it called? Do we still have the shower curtains?
Oh yeah, if you go to our Threadless page, we have a bunch of weird ass merch. You can get Diabology skateboards, Diabology shower curtains, Diabology beach towels, mugs, and also like stickers and stuff. So there's also like stuff you might actually want.
Actually, I might have to get me a mug, to be honest.
I think I have to get the shower curtain still.
Well, you bet.
Said that when she moves out of her parents' place, she is gonna get one of the shower curtains.
Oh yeah, I mean, you bet your bottom dollar I'm gonna get a mug, because I drink coffee every day, all day. So
Okay.
I never have enough mugs. But well, we've reached the end, and I just have one last question. If you could tell the world anything you want, it can be about music, it can be about anything. It can be, yes, just about anything, you know, and if you knew everyone was going to hear it, what would you want the world to know?
I mean, be excellent to each other and stream our album.
Couldn't have said it
I
better
would
myself.
I would tell people to be more open-minded about the people who they disagree with, because I've been seeing a lot of people on both sides of every debate going on in the world who assume that the other side is this bad thing or that bad thing. And the fact is they just aren't like seeing that the other side has a point. And people need to be more respectful of that instead of just calling names, because that gets nothing done.
Yes, I could not agree more. I'm telling you. Any other thoughts?
Maybe any people or like bands trying to, get out there. Don't be afraid. Like don't be too. What's the word?
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah,
Like,
if you like the music you're playing, then probably other people will like it too.
I agree.
Oh yeah. I mean, wow, you guys are ahead of your time. To all the reviewers out there, don't let age fool you, you stupid bitches. You guys rock. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Man, that was really great. You guys will definitely have to come back sometime. It was super great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. We're honored to be here.
Awesome. Everyone go listen to Diabology and Nobody Believes Me. Sweet, guys.